Hi, I'm Movie Man. I'm an octopus who reviews movies, and today's review is going to be on.
Think they'll still do graduation?
I knew alright that this one was coming out. I know this movie premiered last year at the South by Southwest Film Festival, where it seems to get kind of generally a bit of a mixed response. And here's the thing, this movie has actually been out for over 3 months now in the US. In fact, nearly 4 months at this point. In the US, this movie came out all the way back in December. But yeah, here in Ireland, we only got this movie literally just last week as of me recording this. But yeah, I was quite interested when I saw that this was going to be getting an Irish release date on March 21st. Because, I had kind of heard, kind of bit of a polarized response. I saw some people were generally enjoying it, and others kind of a bit more mixed on it, but, it did look quite interesting to me. So I decided that when it came out that, I would go and I'd give the movie a watch for myself. So yeah, I went to see Y2K there last Sunday. And like as I said, this got a bit of a mixed response from people. Like on Rotten Tomatoes, this doesn't really have a great score. Like, I'm pretty sure this only has I think a 42. Definitely seems that the critics weren't exactly all too fond of this one. But having seen Y2K for myself now, all I gotta say is this movie honestly is okay in my opinion. Like, honestly, I think, some people were a little too harsh on it, like, especially Rotten Tomatoes, trust me, this movie is definitely not as bad as the Rotten Tomatoes score would have you believe it is. Now, I don't think this movie is great or anything either, but if you just see this movie for what it is, honestly, I think it's a pretty enjoyable time. Anyway, getting further into my thoughts. So first off, the cinematography of this movie, I think, is honestly decent enough. It's well shot. There's one or two decent shots, like particularly when you have kind of a bunch of this destruction going on and stuff. And there's especially some cool shots like during like when they're at the party, and then once the clock strikes 12, and then next thing we have all these like electrical appliances coming to life, and they start just killing people and stuff at this party. There's some honestly pretty solid shots during those scenes. I don't think it's like an amazingly shot movie. Like, in terms of A24 standards, I definitely wouldn't call this one of their best shot movies, but it's solid enough for what it is. So I don't have much to say about cinematography other than, it's decent. In terms of the editing, I think the movie's edited well enough, it has a decent momentum, that picks up with throughout. Like, it can be like a little like zany at times, well, especially like when we have kind of some of these crazier moments happening in the film with all this like electrical stuff going on. It kind of gets a bit like OCT in terms of the editing, but by no means do I think it's bad. Like, it's solid enough for what the movie needs. It's not anything that's amazing, but I think it's pretty much decent. Yeah, so I think overall the editing is solid as well. In terms of the pace, like, this movie is not too long. This movie is only 91 minutes. And honestly, I think the movie does a decent job with its pace. Like, as I said, being only a 91-minute long film, it definitely doesn't feel that long. Like, I think the movie honestly does go by well enough. Like, maybe there might be one or two bits where the movie kind of feels a little too long, but like, the movie kind of just goes through its plot. It's just kind of a brisk 91 minutes, but it's enjoyable enough, and there's some kind of solid enough humor that will kind of get you through all that. Yeah, so overall, I think the pace in the movie is decent. Now, in terms of the sounds and music, like, I will say there's actually some pretty good like sound effects in this movie. Like, when we're hearing some of these sounds like of these like electric devices, all these kind of computer 90s sounds, like, honestly, it's pretty solid sound work, and like, I think like it works well enough for like what the movie's going for, with all these kind of sentient electronic appliances killing people and stuff. Yeah, honestly, it does make for pretty good sound work. I will say, in terms of the music, like, the film overall, I think, has an alright score. Not like an amazing score or anything, but it's I think it's okay. But like, I think where the music really shines with this movie is during kind of some of these 90s music that we have in this movie. Like, we hear like all these kind of real famous kind of songs. Like, we have like some songs from like notable artists and bands from this time period. Like, you have the likes of Fatboy Slim, Limp Bizkit, Korn, and plus like not many like notable songs like the Thong Song and Tub Thumping. And like, I think it all works. These are honestly some good songs, and I think, like, if you actually grew up during this time period of the 90s, then like, you might be like kind of thrown on a bit of like a nostalgic ride with it, with some of the songs that we hear. But yeah, I thought that was all incorporated quite well into the movie. So overall, I think they did a good job in terms of the sound and music. Now, in terms of the characters, in terms of the acting, our movie kind of focuses on this group of teens who we kind of follow. Like, I mean, some of these characters honestly have, plenty of like real generic tropes that we've seen before. Like, we have like our main character who is like kind of a loser, of his best friend who's also kind of a loser, and our main character has a crush on like this popular girl, and he doesn't think that he might be good enough for her, but his best friend is, trying to kind of egg him on, get him to like actually try and get with her and stuff, It's plenty of stuff that like we've definitely seen before, and not to mention all these like kind of stoner side characters who are kind of OTT and stuff. As I said, it's like these are pretty kind of generic characters in terms of what like we've seen before, but I feel they honestly kind of work well enough for the movie if you just kind of go with it. And like in terms of this acting, like there's no like amazing performances in this, but like everyone's kind of just seemingly enjoying themselves, like for this movie that they're being given. And like some of our like main actors in this, like Jason Marcel and Rachel Zegler, honestly do like good enough for what the script needs. And I have to say I really enjoyed Julian Dennison as Danny. Like he was honestly a really fun character. Like there's a scene where they're at the party and he starts singing this song and basically dancing to it and stuff, and that honestly makes for quite a fun scene. And like I like some of the other characters too, like Ash and CJ. I thought like the two of them were good. I liked kind of their little dynamic that they had. And like some of these characters don't even really appear for that long in the movie, but are quite memorable for the screen time that they have. Like, even the film's director, Kyle Mooney, actually has a supporting role in this as, like, this video store employee named Garrett, and I will say he's a pretty funny character for the screen time that he gets. But like, yeah, I think the cast honestly did have fun with this. I can clearly tell, and not to mention in the film's third act, there is a cameo from a pretty notable person. I'm not gonna say who it is, but if you've seen this movie, then you know exactly who I'm talking about, and yeah, when this person showed up in the film, oh, like, it was a more than welcome presence. But overall, even though like the characters aren't exactly the best written, some of these characters do have fairly generic tropes. But if you really do just kind of go along with this, for what the movie is, then like here you can tell the cast just have a fun time, and there are some fun characters. But yeah, in terms of the film's plot, like the movie definitely has an interesting premise because like when the millennium was ending and the year 2000 was going to begin, many people had this belief that like all the computers and technology and stuff was like going to crash. But yeah, this movie basically kind of takes the idea and turns it into kind of a what if scenario where like that happens, but what ends up happening is that like all the electronic appliances basically become sentient, and then they kind of try to take over and kill all the humans and stuff. Like this is like for sure, this really kind of dumb but entertaining premise for a movie, and Yeah, I think this film honestly pretty much just knows what it is, and it honestly just goes all out with it. Like, there's definitely a bit of fun to be had with the movie. Like, if you're willing to just kind of go along with the film for what it is, then honestly, even though it's by no means amazing or anything, I think it actually makes for a pretty fun time. I think you'll definitely enjoy this, like, if you actually grew up during the 90s, like, because, as I already mentioned, there's just a bunch of, like, all these different things going on. Like, we have all these different stuff from the 90s, all this 90s music, this 90s technology and stuff. Like, it'll probably make some feel quite nostalgic. But yeah, I do appreciate that they went all out and trying to make that aspect of the film work. But like, not to mention as well, it's honestly just makes for a decently funny film. Like, as mentioned, there were times during this movie where I honestly was laughing a bit, because for what it's worth, it actually is a decently funny film. The movie's not great or anything. It is a really dumb film. I just feel like maybe the movie could have had a bit more of like a full-on kind of apocalyptic scale going for it. And also I just felt like certain characters were kind of killed off a bit too early, because when we have our characters established during the first bit of the movie, we're kind of led to believe that, these are going to be our characters for like most of the movie, but then like the movie actually goes and kills off one or two characters that were led to believe is going to live for longer, and like, it is honestly unexpected, but like, I just feel like it was kind of a bit of a missed opportunity. Like, there was one character who, in particular, obviously I won't mention which character, but this character actually got killed off like way, way earlier than I thought they was. Like, I was genuinely shocked when the movie just straight up killed off this character. But like, yeah, I do think, they could have done a better job in terms of like when they kill off certain characters. But also, even then, I will say, some of the kills in this are pretty brutal. They are pretty gory. Like, the movie is a 16 rating here, and yeah, the movie does honestly have some pretty violent kills. Like, and the movie does get pretty creative with some of them, because like, we just have this scenario at the party where all the appliances come to life. And then they just start killing people at the party, and there's definitely some violent deaths for sure, and some that are honestly, pretty creative in how they're handled. Like, as I said, the movie really is just a dumb fun time if you're willing to go along with it. Like, obviously it's not something I think is amazing. Like, I feel the movie kind of does, put plot kind of in the backseat in favor of, having these jokes and these 90s references, but if you just see it for what it is, then honestly I think it's a fun time. In terms of the narrative structure, like, we have our main plot, which is, at the very start of 2000s, we just have the theory of the Y2K phenomenon, becoming a reality, and the machines just rising up and killing a bunch of people, and, it focusing on our main characters trying to survive. That kind of is what this movie is, and I've already mentioned it's dumb, but it's fun. Like I said, in terms of how some of the characters are written, like there's definitely some tropes in there, but I feel like the movie kind of does go out of its way to kind of go into some characters and actually kind of try to make them feel relatable and kind of feel a bit more human to us and stuff, to where like we can actually relate to them. And yeah, they're definitely kind of your typical 90s teens, but it's like, I feel like that may like resonate with certain people. Like, I mean, I do think this movie is definitely, the kind that's made for, people that actually did grow up during the 90s, but yeah, like, it's not like an amazing narrative or anything, but it's one that's like will just be a decently fun time if you're just looking for a dumb but fun, little like violent evil machines movie. So narrative structure is nothing amazing, but it's alright for what the movie needs. So yeah, overall, I would say that I enjoyed Y2K. Like, I don't think it's an amazing movie, but I enjoyed it enough for what it is. Like, if you just see it as, just this dumb, fun, like, 90s throwback, with, some violent kills, some kind of funny stoner humor and stuff, and not to mention, like, plenty of, like, little, like 90s songs, then, like, yeah, you just take this movie for what it is, then maybe you'll enjoy it. I don't think this movie is going to be for everyone, that's for certain, but, like, personally, I don't think the movie's amazing, but I enjoyed it enough for what it was, and as I mentioned earlier, like, if you grew up during the 90s, and, like, if you do, like, think that, you might, like, want to check this one out and enjoy it, then I think it's worth, like, a one-time watch. So overall, like, not an amazing film, but I enjoyed Y2K enough for what it was. So with all that said, I'm going to give Y2K a 6 out of 10. So with that, I'll see you guys next time, and bye.